welcome, or welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. If you're here, you are a 1-4 profile or investigator opportunist, or you are curious. If you don't know your human design profile yet, you can get it at the link in the description below. You would just need the same information that you need for your natal chart. So your birthday, of course, the time and location. Human design is a little bit finicky when it comes to the time because there are certain aspects in your chart that can change depending on the time. So you want to get that as accurate as you can. I mean, of course, you can use noon, but maybe you have an intuition that you were born at a certain time of day, or maybe you heard throughout your life that you were born at a certain time of day if you don't know your exact birth time. I would go with that. I mean, you know, we definitely have an intuition about that. So you can use a time that obviously correlates to that time of day. You can also just kind of play around with it if you want to. You know, because you can just edit your birth information and put in different times of day and see if it does change anything. Like for me, it didn't matter what time I was born on the day that I was born. I was going to be a manifesting generator with a 5-1 profile. There were certain gates that would have changed, but otherwise, yeah, no, it was destined. I have seen charts where, you know, a 2-hour difference will change either your type or your profile or a few other things. So again, you know, like, get it as close as you can. So then once you do put that information in, you'll get something that looks like this. This is your birth chart, unique to you. You'll have your type, definition, strategy, incarnation cross, your profile, inner authority, not self theme. So for the purposes of these videos, we're going to be using your profile. Certainly not the most important aspect of your chart. I mean, I think one of the cool things about human design is that everything kind of works in conjunction with the other. You hear a lot about your strategy and authority. Your strategy here and your authority, which is based off of your type. And all of that comes from the information that is in your birth chart. So, or I'm sorry, your body graph. Both, I guess. Okay. But I'm going by profile because the profile is the thing that for me, reading about my profile, you know, it was kind of like the first time I had like felt seen and validated in my experience. And it was from there that I was like, I need to know absolutely everything there is to know about human design. So anyway, now, so if you are, of course, here, then you would have the 1-4 profile. And as in the other 2 videos that we've done so far in this series, we're reading from the definitive book of human design about the profile. We've read the background so far, we've read the personal, and we're just going to finish it off here and read the interpersonal. I don't have my glasses. Hold on. I don't think my glasses make that much of a difference, but it's like a little safety blanket. So, the interpersonal says, the 1-4 profile is the conscious authoritarian and the unconscious abdicator. Investigator opportunists don't handle resistance well from others, and when they meet someone who rejects their influence, they will abdicate without changing their position and simply move on to find someone else willing and open to listening to them. The quality of a 4th line's life is dependent on the quality of the network. They are very powerful and influential people, fixed like an oak tree, who project an aura of strength and authority. Opportunists who are living authentically, however, do not create their networks. They meet them through strategy and authority. 1/4s are looking for support and are dependent on others until they can get to a point in life where they become an authority providing for themselves. Once on solid ground, they are then in control of their own life and get their opportunity to be generous and caring benefactors for others in return. As children, they will simply believe whatever they are told. It is important for parents of 1/4s to only give them truthful information that they themselves are sure of. It can be devastating for a 1/4 child to find out later that they were lied to. 4th lines can also express a mean side when provoked that can come back to haunt them. Though it seems impossible to change a 1/4's mind about a deeply held understanding, this same fixedness combined with empathy towards others is what brings transition and evolution to our tribal and collective foundations. Very cool. And then it says famous 1/4s are Albert Einstein, Angelica Huston, or is it Houston? Jerry Seinfeld, Muhammad Ali. Very interesting. I think it's cool to kind of, like look up other, like celebrities that have your profile or whatever profile it is. Because it's kind of cool to be able to see, I don't know, like the mechanics in motion or something. Anyway, that is very interesting about, it was saying about, like only providing the truth. So yeah, I wonder if you've had an experience like that where maybe you discovered something wasn't true. Like, does that apply to Santa Claus? I'm being serious. I'm just curious. Very fascinating. And I also, that bit about, if people aren't willing to, take your influence, then just move on, to other people that will. Very interesting. So we are just going to shuffle a few times here. We'll do the 6-card spread. We're looking for a message for our 1/4s. And I haven't quite decided, like, are these monthly readings? I'm kind of just doing them in conjunction with the monthly readings. I don't know. If you guys care, let me know. All right. A few more. Get them nice and shuffled here. Okay, what is the message? We have the 7 of Cups, options, the 2 of Swords, 8 of Cups, interesting. Okay, Page of Pentacles, Death or Rebirth, and the 3 of Swords. And then the 10 of Wands at the bottom of the deck. Okay. Interesting. I always start off there. I think that's just how like my brain starts, I don't know, putting things together, I guess. But we'll go through each card, of course. And we start with this Seven of Cups. And the Seven of Cups talks about options, weighing options. Right? You know, this figure is like, this one maybe. And, you know, like there's something different under each one of these cups. And cups have to do with our emotions. Right? So, I mean, like you could be even in a position where you're sifting through your emotions about a thing. I mean, of course, there could be multiple options that you're weighing. It could be job offers. Because we have the Page of Pentacles down here, and the Page of Pentacles talks about, you know, like being an apprentice or training, starting something new, learning something new. Pentacles have to do with our money, how we make it, how we spend it, how we invest it, our time, how we invest and spend our time. Could also have to do with our physical body. I mean, you know, she's kind of holding tree pose here. I believe that's tree. So, yeah. I mean, you could even be deciding what you even want to do. Like, how is it that you want to express yourself? How do you want to spend your time, right? Like, what do you want to do in order to make a living? Because it's interesting because both of these have this kind of feel of indecision here. I mean, the Two of Swords is the card of indecision. You know, and they're generally blindfolded, like just kind of not being able to it's like not being able to see what direction you should go in. But then there's also like all of this noise and stuff around you, which could be the Seven of Cups. Like, you know, the Seven Cups could be all of the noise going on around you. You know, and when there are too many options, then it does kind of, you know, create this type of environment where you're like, shit, now I really don't know like which one is best. Because we have the Death card down here, which is, you know, the end of, like, something has to end in order for something to begin. You know, it says death and rebirth on this depiction of the Death card. And I always say, or I always like reiterate the saying that endings disguise themselves, or beginnings disguise themselves as endings. And that's what the Death card is. Like, something does have to end in order for something else to begin. And even going back to the Seven of Cups, it's like, you know, maybe you are at the bargaining stage of grief. You know, like, how can I, you know, and again, like if this is a situation that that's changing, it's clearly changing in some capacity. We have like 3 cards out here At least, like, this is a card of change, this is a card of change, this is the ending of something. So there's clearly something that you're almost kind of like wrestling with, whether that's, you know, kind of moving on or whether that's starting something new. But with death actually being out here, I mean, this is, you know, kind of that confirmation or affirmation, validation, all of the shuns, that there is something that needs to end so something else can begin. And when death shows up, it's kind of like, you know, you can make the decision or I will for you type of thing. And then we have the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups talks about, I mean, walking away. You know, she's leaving behind, there's 6 cups that have already sank or, you know, gone underwater. There's this one over here that's sinking or halfway underwater. This one is still on fire, but, you know, I mean, assumption is that it'll also be underwater, but she's walking away and she's walking towards the sun over here. And really what she's walking towards is the Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups talks about wish fulfillment. So, you know, it's also like you've weighed all of these options here. It could even be that you chose one, because this cup that is still on fire, right, where the 7 other cups are practically underwater already, we have this one that's on fire. So this could have been the one that she chose. She, he, they, it's not gender-based. But this could be the cup that they chose. And now it's like, okay, I'm going to start heading in that direction. I'm going to set my compass towards that, which is the Nine of Cups, wish fulfillment. I'm going to head towards the thing that makes me feel good. Speaking of, we have the the Three of Swords down here. I also think that it's interesting that we have, you know, this progression from the 7 to the 8. We have a progression from the 2 to the 3 here. So there's definitely energies that you are moving through, right? So even if there is kind of the sense of like, I don't, you know, stagnation or things just maybe not moving or whatever the case may be, like there is definitely energies moving, you know, and they may not feel all that great. As we can see with this 8, or why do I keep saying 8 of Swords? The 3 of Swords here, just, you know, the posture that she has, the body language there. And also, you know, like how this heart is just kind of tethered. Even it's tied around her. And honestly, I've never even recognized that in this card. So that could be also, you know, a little bit of the issue in the 2 of Swords is that, you know, there's this tether to you from this heart, whatever this heart is, whether it's you, whether, you know, like it's your family, even it could even be, you know, swords have to do with our thoughts, our intellect. I see them as being the cards of ego because that's generally where we hear our ego, is in our minds. So this could even just be your values or what you have always believed to be true. It's like that cognitive dissonance or homeostasis even. I mean, generally this card talks about heartbreak, clearly, right? But it's not necessarily how you feel about it, because that would be the sword or the cups, right? But it's how it lives in your mind. How do you perceive the thing? And how are you, like, what is the story that you're telling yourself about it, right? So again, this could be perceptions, it could be your reality, it could be all of the things that you believe to have been true. Like I said, it could be your values, that cognitive dissonance, your homeostasis. And it's almost kind of like, those things may be changing for you based on like new evidence. Which is beautiful. I know it doesn't feel beautiful, but any type of change like this, when you are going through some sort of ending, it could be ego death to a certain degree. That is uncomfortable. But like I said, it's also like you're moving through, it's something that you're moving through, like this top line here, options, weighing your options, maybe even just looking at how you feel about certain, like I said, like your values. How do you feel about where you're at? How do you feel about your relationships? How do you feel about, like, what do you want to move forward towards? It's just kind of turning those bowls over and looking at them, or even making a decision about which one you want to go towards. So, we have this indecision quality in the middle where you're like, God, I just don't know. And even, I always kind of see this as being the scales, like weighing the pros and cons. I don't know exactly what that is, but that's just how it looks to me for some reason. So it's just kind of like weighing the pros and cons, and even just sitting in that indecision for a little bit, like, also it's really would depend too on your strategy and authority, because that will also help you, the whole purpose of the strategy and authority, like understanding that and kind of experimenting with it and integrating it into your life, is that you enter into the correct experiences and the correct networks, like it was saying, like the only way, let's see. Opportunists who are living authentically, however, do not create their networks. They meet them through strategy and authority. This could also be one of those things where if you are struggling with something, like reach out to your network. Like if you are struggling to find a job or get into a program or something along those lines, just mention it. Like, oh, like I've just been looking into, to your friends, to your family, whatever, like if you're in communities in some capacity, even just mentioning like, oh, like I've been looking for a new job and just kind of struggling with it, or I've been looking for a job in this field, or I've been looking for a program to get into in this field, or whatever the case may be, and just kind of see how it comes back to you. But again, with that strategy and authority, right? Like it's there to help us enter into the correct situations and almost kind of help us avoid bullshit. And that's not, like 100%, like we're not ever necessarily going to be 100% in that. But yeah, so, if you are, definitely take a look at your strategy and authority. There's a ton of amazing videos on YouTube. There's a ton of amazing blogs out there. You can just kind of Google for that information also, if you're not too familiar with it. But then it's like, if you have been in this indecision thing for a while, then here's this kind of invitation here to Come out of it. It's almost kind of like you may already know the decision that you want to make. Like you already know what cup you want to choose. It's just a matter of doing it. And maybe the reason why you haven't done it yet is because, you know, it is maybe something like totally out of left field. Who knows? You know, it may cause you to have to leave certain things behind. It could even force you to like change a perspective. Because even though like the blindfold is off in the Three of Swords, her eyes are still closed. Her eyes are closed. And, you know, in the world of human design anyway, which is one of the things that I mean, I love all of the things. I have loved all of the things, but, you know, it talks about not making a decision from your head center. And if you're trying to make a decision from your head versus your strategy and authority, then that could be why you have been in this energy of indecision, or even in this energy of discomfort. We have the Ten of Wands at the bottom of the deck, which talks about burden. You know, wands talk about action, communication. I see them as being the information cards also, like either receiving or giving information, because it's almost like, you know, acting on the information that you do have. There's a lot of passion and creativity with the wands. And when we get to the 10, you know, I see it as being all of the experience and knowledge and the lessons that we've picked up through our journey, through the wands. Like, you know, you acted on things, you were doing things, you were diving into whatever you were interested in. And, you know, you picked up the experience, whether good or bad. And it's kind of like, you know, using that information to move on to something else. And, you know, in this card, I used to always see this image as, you know, they came down, like they made it over this little mountain here. But then, you know, like I had this realization, and really it's only happened during these readings, that, you know, they're just walking on this path here. And this could have just been an option for a path to take. And it's even lit up. It's halfway, it's a little bit etched in there, you know, but this figure is like, I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to kind of forge my own path. Or I don't really like the way that looks, or whatever it is, right? But, you know, all of the wands are packed. She's holding the Ace of Wands there. Packing up, moving on. You could be physically moving, and that could be causing this turmoil here. We have the Three of Wands behind the 10 of Wands. Again, this is almost like also confirmation of a move. Doesn't have to be, but, you know, it's just interesting that they came up. I mean, you know, you could be moving closer to water. And, you know, if you're kind of in a landlocked location, you could be moving closer to water. But this talks about direction and going for it. It's also almost like, you know, kind of this rite of passage. But she's, you know, the Three of Wands also talks about expanding your horizons, thinking bigger. And then the Eight of Wands behind that, like all these wands back to back. The Eight of Wands talks about fast communication, fast, you know, like information coming into you. And then the Knight of Pentacles, you know, it talks about dedication and commitment. It's like slow growth, but, you know, like the seeds are obviously, you know, sprouting here with the Knight of Pentacles. And even, you know, we have the Page out here, and then this graduation up to the Knight of Pentacles. And like I said, you know, the Knight of Pentacles talks about commitment, dedication to your craft, you know, patience also. So yeah, definitely moving through some energies here. And like I said, you know, they might be a little bit heavier. You might be just kind of having a hard time, maybe even accepting them. But it's also like, you know, it is the best thing for you to move towards the Nine of Cups. What makes you happy? And this 10 of Wands, you know, like after the 10 of Wands, you go to the Ace. So, you know, and that's why she's holding this Ace of Wands here. Like your passion, what are you passionate about? I love this. I love it. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for allowing me to read for you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.